Hello and welcome to Samsplaining Science. I am Sam. I'm your host. I'll be Samsplaining the science. And today I am reintroducing myself because it's been a little while. Yeah, it has. It's been like a year and a half. Oops. Whoopsie. It's been, I believe the last episode I posted was the end of January 2023. And as of recording, it is July of 2024. So it's been almost exactly a year and a half. Whoops. But I'm back and I'm excited to be back. And this is my first episode back. It's titled The Comeback Kid because I'm a kid and I am coming back to my podcast that I abandoned for 18 months. In planning this comeback episode, one thing that I kept thinking about was that, that song that's on TikTok and it's like, I took over a year off and I cut you bitches some slack. Tell a friend to tell a friend she's back. That's like all I could think about because I did take over a year off. But I'm not exactly sure how I would have cut you some slack because I don't know if that's even possible in that context. But you can tell your friends to tell their friends that I'm back because I am back. If you're seeing this, it means I'm back. So I'm back. And this might be your first episode of Samsplaining Science, in which case you're probably like, what the hell is going on? What do you mean you're back? Did you leave? Did you go somewhere? No. I mean, in ways, yes. But it's probably a weird first episode if I can't stop saying that I'm back and you're like, I didn't even know that you were gone. But hello, if this is your first episode, welcome to Samsplaining Science. My name is Sam and I Samsplain science. Samsplain is like mansplaining, except it's less patronizing and more fun. So I hope you enjoy it. A little bit of background about me as I'm reintroducing myself this episode. My name is Sam. I said that already. I am a scientist by training. I have my degrees in biomedical engineering, and I have an overall love of all things science. And I love talking about science, and I love educating people about science. And that's something that I'm really passionate about because I know that science impacts every single thing that we do. In our lives, science is everywhere and it's all around us. And I think just merely, it's 150,000 degrees in New York City today. If you couldn't tell, if you're watching the video, you can see I'm glistening because I'm sweating. It's hot as hell. And I had to leave my window open because if I turned my fan or my AC on, the audio quality was garbage. So the window's open. So if you hear outdoor noise, my sincerest apologies, but you're going to have to deal with it because if I close the window, I will pass out. Okay. But as I was saying, I'm very passionate about educating about science because I believe that science is everywhere. And I believe that everyone should have the ability to learn about science if it piques their interest, if they're curious about it, because science impacts everything that we do. So that's the real motivation behind this show, is to bring science to people who maybe they don't feel it's accessible to them for whatever reason. Maybe they've been out of school for a long time and they feel like, well, Sam, I work as a waitress or a lawyer or a pilot or just random ass things that aren't in science, but you might still be interested in science. That's where I come in because I can teach you about science if you're interested in it. That's why this show exists. So hooray, hurrah. I do have notes here because it's been a minute and I'm a little nervous that it's been a minute. But I did also want to let you know, if you're new to this show, that the topics that I typically cover range a ton of different topics. You could tell I'm a little rusty, right? You can tell. Although, granted, it doesn't really get any better than this anyway. So whatever. But no, the things that I talk about on the show range from a bunch of different fields. Some episodes are more serious in conversation. Some topics are a little more political. So I've done some episodes about abortion or about vaccines, which for some reason those things are political. But they're episodes that are maybe not as, they're more serious in tone, I suppose. And then there are other episodes that I do that are more fun and lighthearted, like talking about space or coffee or why asparagus makes your pee smell. Those are all episodes that have already existed of Samsplaining Science. So if those pique your interest, if any of those pique your interest, feel free to scroll back and take a look at the previous episodes that I've done in the past. But that's sort of my spiel here, is that I want to talk about science and I want to educate people who are interested in learning more about any kind of science about what they're interested in. Sorry, I also talk with my hands a lot. If you're new, if you know me, you know that I do that. All right, let's go back to my notes here for a second. Okay. Well, I'm back. And if you're new, welcome. And I'm so happy you're here. And I hope you're happy to be along for the ride. I'm looking forward to it personally. It has been a while, like I mentioned, since I posted one of these. But I'm bringing it back. And I was actually really surprised and like honored and flattered in a way. Or not in a way, I was very much flattered that when multiple people were asking me, what happened to your podcast? Like, when is it coming back? Just because I don't really know, like I had done 44 episodes before I took a break. And I don't know, I enjoyed it personally for me, but I didn't, I guess, realize how many other people noticed it or like listened, kind of engaged in the media in some way, whether it be on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But a lot of people were curious about when it was coming back. So I appreciate if you are one of those people who reached out and asked when it's coming back, because you, among other things, motivated me to bring it back. So thank you for reaching out. I don't know if you can hear that. If not, it was just a random pause for no reason, but there was a car driving by with music playing. Anywho, if you're new to this show, or maybe if you're not new to the show and you just need a general reminder, the show is kind of structured in a way where I present a topic by asking questions about that topic. So I figured we'd ease back into the Samsplaining Science podcast structure with my reintroduction episode. So what I do usually is I frame questions about the topic. So today I have questions. Do I? Yeah, I do. You can also, PSA, I don't know how you're engaging in this form of media, but if you're listening on a podcast platform, you can also watch it on YouTube. Would highly recommend doing that if you're a visual person, especially because a lot of the times when I talk about things and I Samsplain things, I have like visual aids attached to it. So if you want to follow along on YouTube, you can do that. The channel's called, you guessed it, Samsplaining Science. It's just called Samsplaining. It's not called You Guessed It. It's just Samsplaining Science. You knew that, but just in case you didn't, I got you. Okay, so anyway, I proposed some questions for this episode. The first question is, what has changed in the last year and a half? The second question is, what hasn't changed? And then the third question that we're going to talk about is what we can expect from the revamp of Samsplaining Science. So we're going to start with the first question, which is, what has changed in the last year and a half? Well, it depends on what you mean by that. a lot of things have changed in the last year and a half, but I think specifically in regard to this podcast, one thing that has changed is I have a new recording platform. I am not using, if you watched the show previously, you might have noticed that I recorded it on Zoom. I no longer have access to an unlimited Zoom because I lost my unlimited Zoom license because of something I'm going to talk about in a second. So I have a new recording platform. I hope it works. If it doesn't, you're not getting new episodes. If this new recording platform does not work, I am throwing my computer in the garbage can. But if it does work, you're watching this or listening to this. So yay. Hooray. Okay. That's the one new thing. We have a new recording platform. The second new thing is that I got a new job. So around March, February of last year of 2023, I was like deep in a job search. That is why the podcast initially went on hold, is because I was like, Mama needed a new job. She certainly did. So I kind of took a break from podcasting and put all of my energy into updating my resume, into interviewing and all that stuff. So that took up a lot of time and a lot of energy. So that's why the podcast initially went on hold. And then fortunately, I got a new job, and I started that new job in May of 2023. And I love my new job. It's great. It's wonderful. But in getting a new job, I, of course, had to leave my old job. And my old job was the one that I used my Zoom through, maybe illegally. Shh, don't tell. All 6 of you that watch this, please don't tell. But anyway, my new job, I don't have access to Zoom on my personal computer anymore. So I had to find a new recording platform, which goes back to the first bullet point. Man, I am shiny. I literally have a little napkin to dab my sweat off with. But you know what? I dab my sweat and my skin is still shiny. I think it's just oily. It's not even sweat. It's just glisten. It's glistening. She's glowing. Okay. Anyway, so that's another thing that's changed in the last year and a half. I have a new job, which actually isn't that new anymore because I've been there for a year and 2 months. But it's great. Now on to question 2. What hasn't changed? There's some new things that are changing, but there are some things that stay the same. And one of those things is just the show in general. So as I mentioned, the structure of the show, every week we're going to be asking questions about a new topic. That's not going to change. And, we'll answer each question with a summary of peer-reviewed literature and science, reliable sources. And as always, those sources will be linked in the episode description below. Another thing that hasn't changed is my love of science. Go ahead and try to change that. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's still here and it's alive and well, and it hasn't changed. The last thing that hasn't changed is that I still don't know how to edit audio or video. Oops. You'd think after a year and a half off of podcasting, you might have been hoping maybe she's taking classes to learn how to actually produce a podcast. No, she's not. She's avoiding it at all costs. And now with this new recording platform, it might be better or it might be worse. And you and I are going to find out at the exact same time. We love that. It's a little bit of adventure. Choose your own adventure. I'm choosing chaos. It'll be fun. But anyway, that's what hasn't changed in the last year and a half since I haven't done this podcast. The show structure is going to stay the same because I don't have an ounce of creativity in my brain. And once I come up with an idea, I'm like, yeah, this is good enough. Let's roll with it. So we're rolling with it. My love of science hasn't changed because if I don't love science anymore, check my pulse because I might have passed away. And then lastly, I still don't know how to edit audio or video. But maybe with time, that one will change. One can only hope. Okay, last question. Question number 3. What can we expect from this revamp? I will say, for those new listeners, the questions usually don't go this fast either. Usually we dive deep. We do deep dives and we talk about a lot of detail and a lot of stuff. But today we're rapid fire question and answer. So the last question, number 3, what can we expect from this revamp? I am aiming to put new episodes out on Mondays when episodes do come out. I put most Mondays because I'd like to give myself some room for failure. No, I just think, sometimes life gets busy. And I think the previous round of this podcast, I really, really stressed myself out by trying to make sure that I had episodes at certain times. And sometimes those episodes felt forced and they felt like not my best work. So I think what I'd like to do with this revamp is keep to a schedule as much as I can, but also give myself some flexibility in case life gets busy or life gets overwhelming and I need a rest. So when there is a new episode of Samsplaining Science, it will come out on Mondays because I will work on it over the weekend. So just keep that in mind, that keep your eye out for new episodes on Mondays. If you don't get it on Monday, I'm sorry. Wait until next week. I still love you. I think. I don't know you, but I love the idea of you. I love that you're sitting there waiting for new episodes of Samsplaining Science. That's very kind. I appreciate you. But wait till next week if you don't get one on a particular Monday. Another thing that you can expect is learning new things with each episode. So like I said, each episode will have a different topic. We'll ask questions. We'll review some peer-reviewed scientific papers to answer those questions. And hopefully we'll get a few key takeaways from each episode that we can take with us to look at the world in a different way. Because that's what science does, hopefully, to many of us, if not all of us. So we will be learning new things with each episode through this revamp. And then lastly, you can expect a few laughs, hopefully. I'll be laughing for sure, but it's not a unique occurrence that I tell a joke and I'm the only one that's laughing. So I hope a few times you'll laugh. I'm probably going to laugh multiple times an episode. Maybe you'll get a chuckle per episode. But my goal is to get a few laughs with the revamp. So fingers crossed. My lips to God's ears. All right. So the takeaways for this episode is that Samsplaining Science is back and better than ever. But there's a little asterisk there next to better than ever because in reality, it's still just kind of mediocre. But we're working to get better than ever. And by we, I mean me, the royal we. See, that's a joke. Did you laugh? Did you chuckle a little bit? If not, it's okay. But I did. No, but I'm working to improve my podcasting skills, whether that be my communication skills or my more technical skills, editing, producing, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully we're back and better than ever. And I personally am really looking forward to being back. I've been thinking about this for a really long time. And at one point, it was just kind of like I'm almost scared to come back because I don't even know how to come back, But now I'm back, and I'm really looking forward to being back. And I hope that you're looking forward to new episodes as well. And speaking of new episodes, I have a couple of really interesting topics lined up from my own brain right off the top of the old dome. But I also would love to hear your suggestions for future episodes. And there are a number of different ways that you can suggest topics for future episodes. So one is through DM. So my DMs are always open. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. I will be calling it Twitter. I actually haven't been on Twitter in ages, but I will go on Twitter if you send me suggestions for new episodes. But you can also find me on Instagram or TikTok and send me messages of things you want to learn more about, things that you want Samsplained to you. And I will be happy to do that. Another way that you can submit ideas for new episodes is through my website. So you can go to samsplainingscience.com/ask And there you can actually submit questions with your name, or you can submit them anonymously. So if you're afraid of like, oh, I'm afraid this is a stupid question, first of all, no such thing as a stupid question. So I'll stop you right there. Submit it anyway. But if you're afraid to have your name attached to a question, you can always submit it anonymously. No judgment. I'll answer questions as they come in. So please feel free to submit ideas if you'd like to through DM or through the website. Either way. I also mentioned that in every episode there are links to the sources, the papers that I cite, so that you can read those papers, or you can take a look at the data in those papers if you feel so inclined. I also just think it's very important for people to cite their sources because, reliable sources are an important part of sharing information. And that's where I'm going to leave that sentence. Okay? But this episode, obviously, I didn't samsplain any science. So the links are not to scientific papers or sources, but I did kind of give some updates on the show and on my life. So I figured the links that I can share this episode can be for charities and organizations that I have been donating to over the past few months. I have a list right here of places that I've donated to over the past few months. That includes World Central Kitchen, Doctors Without Borders, and Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So if you feel so inclined and you'd like to donate to World Aid organizations or organizations that are helping boots on the ground in Gaza, helping people who are going through the unimaginable right now, please feel free to check out those places to donate or just learn more. I'm not going to force you, but just wanted to share. That's what I've been doing. So there you go. That's my spiel for my links this episode. So with that, we will wrap things up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Did I mention that I'm excited to be back? I am. I'm very excited to be back, and I really appreciate if you're taking the time to listen or watch this episode and any episode. I would also greatly appreciate if you could subscribe to the show wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, and also rate the podcast and review the podcast if you'd like. If you're on YouTube, you can also leave comments. That's cool too. But please just let me know what you think of the show, and be honest, because I can handle criticism. That's part of being a scientist. So you can be harsh and provide constructive criticism, and I will do my best to take that into account for future episodes. You can also follow the show at Samsplaining Sci on all platforms. That is how old this slide is that, look, the Twitter logo is still the bird and not the X. I'll probably honestly leave it as that because I feel like it is just a little funny at this point. Name something more millennial than referring to it as Twitter and having the bird. Guilty. Anyway, follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Samsplaining Sci. And then don't forget to ask questions for future episodes. You can do that on my website, samsplainingscience.com/ask. So that's all from me. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you guys have a lovely week. And if you're watching this, there is definitely an episode coming out the following Monday, because I won't put this out unless I have one ready for the next one. So that's the plan. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Ciao for now. Bye.